Hey, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the SurgeCast, Season 2, Episode 14. I am your host, Zach Martin.
I'm Bailey Curtis.
And we are powered by Belly Up Sports, and we're presented by Primo X Hockey, Level Up Snacks, and In the Clutch Apparel. And we got some preseason hockey, baby. Let's go. Hockey is officially back. And if you're on the YouTube version, you might see our guest at the bottom of the screen. But before we introduce our fantastic guest, Billy, how are you doing on this Wednesday?
I am doing great. Still writing. I mean, I know it's preseason. It's only the first game of preseason, but I'm still kind of riding the high a little bit from last night's win. We saw some awesome work from the guys. I've just been kind of chilling out, trying to get, my ducks in a row after that. How are you?
Doing good. Luckily, I'm done for the next 2 days from work, so I get to relax and stuff like that. We've gotten massively delayed multiple times just trying to get this recording because my fire alarm in the hotel that I'm still at decided to go off for like an hour straight. So that was a whole lot of fun, just hearing that loud beeping.
Yep.
Like even headphones on, trying to play YouTube really loud. It was working for the most part, but
yeah,
it was an ordeal. But like I agree with you. Like stoked. We got Canned Hockey back last night.
Mm-hmm.
Watched it on the website. Mike and Tripp back at it again. I mean, it was just absolutely phenomenal. But we'll get into all that good stuff later on in the show because we're going to talk about the roster cuts already have happened. We're going to talk about Game 1. Just to get our thoughts and feelings, what happened in the game, who stood out to us, stuff like that. We're also going to do our Forgotten Canes, but we also got something really cool. It's non-Hurricanes related, but it still revolves around hockey that I'm kind of excited to talk about. But before we get to all that good stuff, we do have a guest with us today. He is with the Hurricanes Report, formerly Home Ice Advantage, if you have listened to his stuff before his new podcast. We got Wes Fearns joining us today. Wes, how are you doing today, brother?
Hello, sir. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. I've never done like a guest thing before, so this is I'm a little nervous, honestly. Hopefully I don't screw it up, but I'm excited to be here. So
just to annoy your brother, let's make sure this video gets more views than his brother Colin's guest.
I will listen to this 400 times. If that
means. Yeah, go listen to the episode. Go watch it on YouTube. Yeah, we're gonna see which Fearns brother brings out the more numbers. And we'll see how that goes because I know Colin was like trying his best to go beat Bailey's current score for most downloads for an episode. So we'll see which Fern brings the most foliage of numbers to the things. I'm sorry, I had to.
Yeah, you're good. That was
after the whole Letterkenny pun thing. You've been on a roll lately.
That was so great. And you know what? It's just another cog in the machine to keep this thing rolling. So I'll explain the cock thing later, but I mean, it's just so many hockey pun. The Letterkenny hockey pun video, I have to say this real quick. If you haven't seen it yet, I posted on my personal. There's like three different. They did like three. It's like broken into 3 different parts, but it's so great. But I might just try do a thread of just all 3 of them together, just for people to watch them. But oh my gosh, they're so great.
That whole show is so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so great.
I need to finish. I've been severely lacking on my watching and things. I need to finish Shoresy before I go and watch Letterkenny. I've been slacking.
Shoresy's like 6 episodes.
I know, but
in an afternoon.
I've been busy. Okay, leave me alone.
Kids these days with their attention spans and not finishing a show in 3 hours. My goodness.
Oh my gosh.
You watch hockey games that are shorter than that.
I do.
Okay.
Anyway.
But Wes, definitely glad to have you on. I know it's fun because we had your brother last week. We got you this week, so it's just like the Fern family is just trying to take over and just be the guest of the show. So
what? I'll have my dad here next week, and I have another brother too. There's 6 total. So
goodness.
Yes,
just 6 straight weeks of the Ferns just taking over. It's just
here's Wes's great uncle twice removed. Houston. Well, hey guys, what's going on?
Oh, fantastic! But going to our first, I know it's not Hurricanes related, but kind of also is.
Zach was very excited when he saw this.
Oh, I've been getting the NHL games for as long as I can remember. Like my first NHL game was like NHL '94 on the Super Nintendo, and then playing some 2K a little bit. But the EA version, I've been playing that since like 03 when Iggy was on the cover. If that says anything, and that's like PS2 days, which I will one day get a PS2 refurbished, buy that game, and play the heck out of that. Because
first NHL game I ever played was, I think, NHL 10 on the PS2, but I could be wrong.
That's I think PS2 or PS3, something like that. Yeah, I do have to say, unfortunately, the last great NHL game for EA was 14 with Brodeur on the cover. Everything after that's been all right. But I think the last greatest one they did was 14 when they did like Be a Pro and stuff like that. But I mean,
I hate Brodeur too, and I skipped. I refused to buy it. Just
she's got like 13, 15 just because.
Yeah, like, but it's been so downhill ever since. But and I've got a lot of buddies who play, and they're like, oh, like I have a lot of buddies who go back and will play that on the 360. And I'm like, on principle, I will not engage.
That's fair.
Yeah, so 13 will be fine. Just can't do 14. But I mean, honestly, though, it's like it's been a little bit downhill. It's been kind of like, it is what it is. I want a storyline, like an actual storyline of what they did for FIFA, what they've done for Madden and all that. Like the new like Be a Pro-ish thing they kind of have is kind of cool. Like there is somewhat of a storyline, but it's kind of like you don't really get to hear your player talk. You don't really get to do. It's just kind of like set answers. It's not really anything like super extravagant. I want to see like a story of like 2K, like NBA 2K's done their thing for a while. Like I said, Madden and FIFA. Like we want to see something like that for hockey. Yeah. Give us something like that. But I mean, it is what it is. I know franchise mode. That's the one I usually play myself, and I know a lot of people have been like clamoring for a revamped franchise mode because it's been kind of the same.
Yeah,
and they thought like the Fog of War was going to do something. Oh, it's true scouting. You won't know until you actually scout the players and do everything else. And you're like, I don't have that kind of time.
No.
It's such a miss too if you do invest the time, and it's like, haha, you bet wrong. That's not fun. Like it's not like real isn't fun necessarily. It's like, oh
yeah. Like I just turned Fog of War off. I'm like, I'm just gonna go just like old school. Like this is what it is. Unless you actually put hours into it, but it's not like you're gonna like do everything like they did in 22.
Yeah.
In 21, I'm like, no. But the thing with 23 is I'm actually really excited about. I mean, I was gonna get the game anyway because I'm a hockey nerd and I just love hockey games. They have the thing EA released it on their Twitter and Instagram, and I kind of wanted to post it, I wanted to talk about because I thought it'd be kind of fun. They're doing a custom leagues on franchise mode now. Like their screenshot literally had 48 teams in the league, and it's like it's like you do conference. It's like the way they have it too. It's like they have it by. Just from the screen grab, like they do like division realignment, stuff like that, the basic stuff, but then they have like NHL league setup, NHL schedule, and the NHL standings format, which I'm kind of curious to see what that's going to look like. But then on the league setup, you got like number of teams. It says like 48 conferences, 2 divisions, 4, the salary cap inflations, pay scaling, and all that. They can actually let you put the max and the min for the salary caps. And then player salary max and mins and the rookie salary maxes. You can like set all that up, which I thought it's really cool. Like because like on their screen they have like 82.5 million for the max cap. Salary min was like 60.2 million. Like player max salary, $16.5 million for one guy.
Yeah.
Romanos Jr. is going to buy a version of this game and like slash the salary floor and be like, yes, finally, like that'll be his dream.
A realistic game for us. Yes.
25 mil. It'll be fine.
The roster is literally set for like $35 million and that's it. It's like
he sets league minimum to like $10,000 and he's just like he's like happy crying. It's like, oh, this is such a great day.
Yes.
I know. Yeah, but like the fact that their actual screen grab says 48 teams, I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot imagine 4 divisions of 48 teams. Like that would be absolutely stupid. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, if the format and they could let's do the format in the playoff, like stuff like that, this is what I would do for mine. I would easily go back to the seeds 1 through 8 for the playoffs. No more of this division matchups, and then it's like you go and the 2-3 play each other, then like the number 1-2 seed and the 2 seed in the East play like the wild card teams, and then like they keep playing in their divisions until they get to like the conference final. No, none of that. We're going back to the old school, 1 through 8, and see what happens. If you're the 8 seed and you lose, okay, well then there you go. It is what it is. That's how I would do it. I'd go back to the old school 1 through 8, and I would easily realign to the divisions because.
Because can you place certain teams in certain divisions?
Oh yeah, that's what the division realignment section would be. Because I know on the games now, you can rearrange teams to different divisions. Like you can move, like I know before the added the Kraken, you could move like Columbus or Detroit back to either. You can like set Detroit back to the West if you wanted to. And do all that. So for me, if you're able to do that with like different division numbers and stuff like that, how many teams, I would easily remake the Southeast Division.
That's what I was gonna say. Yep.
Yeah, and this is what my Southeast Division would look like: Washington, Nashville, Carolina, Tampa, and Florida. Bring back the 5-team divisions.
Yeah.
No more of this 8-team division stuff. Bring back divisions where you have 5 teams in there, and I revamp the Southeast Division.
Yeah.
And just add Nashville.
Like part of the problem with how things are set up now is that everything is, like you said, like everything's in division. You literally don't play in the playoffs out of division until the conference finals, but you don't actually play in your division all that much because you have to play everybody else twice. So to me, you've got to pick a side. Either it's 1 through 8, which I think it makes sense to have everybody. It helps to have Toronto in your building, right? That just is what it is. Who cares? But then just have it be 1 through 8. Like the division doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We played the Islanders 3 times last year.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's how I would do it. I would go back to the old school NHL version of it, of how they did it, where it's like, here's your division. You figure out the schedule, because you can figure out the schedule. You still play everyone like the normal amount. It's just you just have not an 8-team division. You just have your normal division to try to figure out how you realign it. Now you might have to throw some teams into weird divisions and conferences, just because the Western Conference is so spread out. You kind of have to figure out how you're going to maneuver that around. But it's not bad to do. I mean, heck, just do like what? Seattle, Anaheim, LA, San Jose. Vancouver. So there you go. There's your Pacific Division right there. Just with those 5, and then do a random division of like Arizona, Colorado, and Dallas, and St. Louis and Chicago. Then you just got to figure out what you're going to do with like Calgary and Winnipeg and Edmonton with some rando. Oh, Minnesota. Just do Minnesota and put those guys together or something like that.
They're basically Canadian too, so you can.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can easily make revamp divisions work. It's just how you're going to play that out. But for the fact that EA is kind of doing custom leagues now, and you can like do different division numbers and all that. Oh, I'm so stoked.
If you had to rank in your like new revamped Southeast Division, if you had to rank like your personal from like rivalry that you couldn't, not even really a rivalry, like couldn't care less about, to like true blue rival, where would you rank it 1 through, I guess, 4?
For me, I would definitely have to say it's Nashville 1 because the proximity of them being so close together. Now you're not in different conferences. You're in the same division. And like the distance isn't that far. Like you can easily make it to Nashville to Raleigh in like a day if you really wanted to. Like I think that'd be a great rivalry right there in the division itself. And then I would say probably Washington, because it's not like animosity, but I feel like there's kind of a little bit of something there. Or I would say probably Tampa than Florida. Florida is just a nuisance, but I mean they've only gotten they were good last season.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
like no history there.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of history, but nothing special.
Yeah, I would say you could almost flip Tampa and Washington if you really thought about it. It just depends on the year and like how they play each other. I know Tampa and Carolina play each other. It's a tough game, but I think Carolina and Washington has had more history recently.
Yeah.
But no, if you give me Nashville in our new revamped Southeast Division,
There we go.
Instant rivalry. Because think about this though. Two legit Southern markets in a city like Nashville and Raleigh, just straight up tailgates, barbecue against barbecue.
Yeah.
Like you can have like so many like different things happen, just not even on ice, just off ice between the fan bases. It would be absolutely fantastic. Well, like what would your rank be, Wes, for the new revamped Southeast?
I hate the Capitals a lot.
Right.
A lot.
Right.
So they might be number one. I will say before the pandemic season, it would have been Caps, Lightning, Panthers, Nashville. I actually kind of liked Nashville.
Right.
But you had what? Was it 8 games apiece, right? So you played them 8 times in the regular season.
Yeah.
6 in the regular season. There were 2 of your like 4 or 5 preseason games next season, and then I think they were game 3 at the start of last season. I was like, if I never in my life see the Nashville Predators again, it'll be too soon.
Yeah, right. Then we actually played them in the playoffs too, and it's like, bro, I'm so tired of these guys.
Yeah, it's just please go away. So they would be up there. They'd probably be number 2 for me.
Right.
Lightning, Panthers, they actually both have different Game 82 beat the Canes. They don't make the playoffs in that like decade-long playoff slump. So there's a little bit of like animosity there. But like you said, other than that, Tampa's good. So there's a rivalry there, and Florida's good. So you want to beat them, but I don't.
Not on the same level that the Caps might be at. Yeah.
I hate when we lose to the Caps, that like the day is shot. It doesn't matter. We lose to Tampa, you just shrug and you're like, all right,
Yeah.
I remember that one game last season. It was like a matinee game, and they didn't call like the slash because it was like on the same like offsides call, whatever.
Yeah,
there was already a delayed penalty
offside,
or whatever. I don't know. It was I hate playing the Caps and losing to them because it's a mood dampener.
It is. It's the worst. So Bailey, what would your revamped division rivalry for you look like for the new Southeast division if we had one?
And I feel like I wasn't around and didn't have a great knowledge of hockey to like be able to give my good input on this. It'd probably be Capitals number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa 2.
Okay.
Nashville 3, Florida 4.
No, that's fair. I mean, I think Christopher, just for how Nashville is like it's just more of a recent thing, but they're just so like the pandemic season and then playing them in the playoffs just made it so much worse. It's just how their fans are.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking too, like for me, like I'm putting them 1 just for the potential hatred.
Right. Yeah, the potential hatred there.
The potential hatred would be so perfect for a Nashville Carolina like rivalry between the two teams, because like I said, they're not like it would be a good drive between Nashville and Raleigh, but I still think like it would still be intense just as the fact that like, you're right next door to each other state wise. Barbecue against barbecue, culture against culture. It would be so epic. Like that would be a fantastic Southeast division that like SE 2.0 would easily top the former Southeast, because it was Atlanta, Washington, Florida, and Tampa, but Florida was never good. Atlanta was never good. Washington was so-so, and even Tampa was so-so. And I think Carolina kind of had more of a leg up on the division for the most part, unless like Tampa got hot at a certain time, like 04, 05 or 03, 04, they kind of got hot. And then Florida there for a little bit maybe, and then Washington when they got OV, but it was kind of like it never really came to fruition of a solid division.
Yeah.
I think this 2.0 division, like if it ever did happen, which I'm excited to try out in 23, it's gonna be absolutely fantastic. And I would pay to see a newer Southeast division.
Yeah.
If it ever came to fruition.
It's funny that you brought it up too, because I was actually my dad is a huge hockey fan. I was talking to him the other day about, because you're right, like every year 4/5 of the Southeast division was like normally pretty bad, like 500 or less, but there was always one outrageous team They got to beat up on these, cupcakes, and then they went in the playoffs with this great record. This is like a Wesley hot take. When they announced the Winter Classic or Stadium Series or whatever the outdoor game is called, I thought it should have been Nashville because to your point, non-traditional hockey markets, both very fun fan bases and colors, and they're just kind of weird teams. They're not afraid to do new things. There's absolutely recently they would tell you they're the loudest place in hockey. We would tell you we're the loudest place in hockey. And you had I liked Nashville, and then the pandemic and the start of last year, I never ever again.
Not so much.
And I feel like you had this kind of momentum to like make it fun. Like it doesn't always have to be non-traditional versus traditional.
Sorry, continue. My bad.
Just you can have other fun. You can have a game on prime time and it doesn't have an original 6 team.
Right. And the only thing that kind of I think got in the way of them doing it this season was the fact that they are going overseas. At least I'm pretty sure they're going to play over in Finland with Colorado, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Something like that.
Yeah, that would have been.
And they have the draft and an all-star, and they had one last year. Like, they're actually getting a lot of stuff in Nashville, but it would have been
cool, regardless.
Yeah. I think it's the fact that it's like, it's OV, it's the Caps, they're kind of close to Carolina. It's just like they're trying to build off of like what the most
and the energy is there.
Yeah,
because I mean, just seeing us, like we know, like we get down. If things don't go our way against them. So I think they're relying on that energy and that kind of dislike from us for them and like or vice versa.
Yeah. So
I lost that day for sure. That'll be
no. I'm not going to my first ever Stadium Series / Winter Classic game. At my first ever game in Carter Finley, because I've never been there, but I'm a massive Wolfpack fan, but I've never been into Carter Finley. I don't want to see them lose. In a Stadium Series game in Carter Finley, even though
I'm flying out from Colorado, they can't lose.
Yeah, right. Yeah, even though my UNC co-host here, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
It sucks too because they're obviously pretty banged up right now. So, but everybody starts to come back in that late December, early January. It's like no, please.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, just like Jorgen Shesterkin decided to wake up in the playoffs when he plays Carolina, but does nothing against Pittsburgh. If only Pittsburgh just won one more mother effing
Pittsburgh,
game.
you didn't do your jobs.
I mean, it's Pittsburgh. Okay, speaking of Pittsburgh, real quick, Jeff Petrie, early candidate for scumbag of the season. Did you either one of you see the tweet that I put out today?
No.
Yeah, sucker punched a Red Wings player in the back of the head.
Or at least tried. And
I think he kind of
whiffed on it.
Yeah, it looks like he kind of caught the back end of his shoulder, caught the back of his helmet, but
he was going for the back of the head, and that's a dangerous move.
It is preseason too.
Game one in the preseason. I mean, Jeff Petrie is a Hab, so I guess it kind of makes sense too. But it's just Pittsburgh's got a Pittsburgh. But I'm like, really. He's like, hey, you already lost $5,000 and the season hasn't even started yet. I'm like, all right, well, there's your early candidate for scumbag of the season. Yep. So there you go.
That's tough.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep that tweet and just keep adding videos to that thread, and at the end of the year, and be like, all right, here's your top 4, pick your favorite one, and here's your scumbag of the season.
That might be fun.
Yeah. It actually would be because there's gonna be a lot of shenanigans. It's just I gotta be on Twitter at the right time to catch it. So it's just it's just like not another hurricane real quick, but Jeff Petrie, do better. Don't be that guy. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. But no, I'm excited for NHL 23 to come out. I'm excited to realign some divisions and just have an awesome time playing franchise mode. So we just gotta make sure Bailey gets one because I know you're still waiting on 22, so just get 23.
Yeah,
at this point.
I've already told Grant he's saving up to get FIFA 23. So I was like, Grant, if you're saving up to get FIFA 23, I'm saving up to get NHL 23. So just be prepared for that. And he was like, okay.
Yeah, because if you're on the PS4, we're definitely teaming up for some Shell then as well because I need some teammates.
Yeah,
I need teammates for Shell.
Yep.
So yeah, we're gonna figure something out. But so we're we're going to
getting
go
back into the Canes related content.
Yeah, back into the Canes. I know 20-something minutes in. I'm sorry, but we had to talk about that because it's exciting, because it's just something that's going to be very interesting that I'm kind of excited to try out. We do have some roster cuts as of late already into camp. So, Bailey, for those who somehow missed it, can you let them know who's already been assigned to their junior teams?
Yeah, so Walt Ruff made the post, I think 3 days ago, announcing that Bobby Orr, Bryce Montgomery, and Jacob Vondras have been cut and reassigned to their respective junior teams. So
yeah, which makes sense. I mean, it is what I thought. Bobby Orr did a really great job. Like you heard of him a lot on the showcase. He's got a lot of good speed, good hands. The kid's young too, so I'm just really excited to see what it's funny when people are like Bobby Orr. I'm like, not
that
Orr,
one,
not that one, but we have another Bobby Orr. But I thought he did great in the showcase games, and just everything I read up about this kid. I'm excited to see what he does. Get some more games in the juniors.
Give this kid a few years to develop, and he's definitely going to be a menace for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Wes, did you catch any of the prospect games? Did you see any of these guys?
Watch some of the prospect games. It's incredible that year over year, all we do is hemorrhage defensemen, and you're like, well, at some point, this is just gotta get it. Knock on wood.
Yeah, right.
It has not yet, right?
Right.
And, the thing I like about Orr too specifically is that he does seem like. A lot of times in prospect games, you'll see younger kids where they really they're almost moment hunting, if that makes any sense. Where maybe a lacrosse goal, or they just kind of want their bright spots to get. And there's nothing wrong with that per se. But
it's called the showcase.
Yeah.
So.
He seemed really upset the couple times that he misplayed or maybe didn't get it on the tape. Right. Was in some of these skates and stuff. Those are it's always hard to tell with prospects. I try to never get too excited because you just never. You never know, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Unless you're like Patrick Hammerline and just absolutely stopping a million pucks.
Yeah.
Or your passion, like you said, doing what he does, or Blake Murray scoring a couple goals and with an OT winner. So I mean,
I like that attitude with kids going into juniors. So that's a thumbs up for me.
Jamison Reese at all of 5'10", trying to fight a 6'6" predator. That was fun. I was enjoying that.
It's like, buddy, all right. Please.
It's like this dude's almost a foot taller than him. He's like, I don't care. I'll fight you regardless.
I'm embodying Pyotr Kochetkov. Come at me.
just the reverse of the Pyotr Kochetkov looking at a short Brad Marchand. It's like, you don't want this
I could
smoke.
Step on you.
Yeah, it's like you don't want this smoke, bud. Go put your escrow somewhere else. You could blame Winnipeg for that, not Carolina. So nice try, though.
Yeah, no, I don't know, but yeah, it's like you were kind of saying with these cuts and whatever. I mean, it's not too much to kind of overthink about. It's just a matter of these kids are young. They have great years ahead of them, and all this is saying is they need more development before they have a chance to kind of come up and play in the AHL for in a higher up part of the franchise.
Yeah, of course. And then you think about it too, it's like they still have they're not under professional contracts. They're still under the rights of the team. It's just they're in their CHL eligible seasons, which I mean every team's going to take advantage of that unless you're Seth Jarvis, where you're just stupid good regardless. And it's like, all right, well, here you go. But it's just the team using the advantage of having the CHL. Like, all right, well, we're going to send you back to wherever their junior team is. We'll just send you back there, and you can still get your development, still get your playing time, and it's not going to hurt the cap in the AHL or the ECHL and stuff like that. It just gives them more time to get ready, like you said, Bailey. So it's not surprising. We're going to see a lot more of these cuts. I mean, they brought 47 skaters and 6 goalies to this training camp. Because it's not all of them are going to stay and stuff like that. So it's just inevitable.
Even Rod was kind of saying, I mean, we know for the most part what this roster for the Canes is going to look like this year.
It's
just a matter of figuring out that Wolves roster and putting everybody where they think they will prosper best.
Yeah. Or figuring out who your fourth line and your third D pair is and your seventh defenseman. So that's really about it. Other than that, it's not so bad. And whoever your scratches are, but good thing we're not Don Waddell and the coaching staff. We have to figure that out. So have fun with that. So it is what it is. But we are going to take a quick break to talk about our amazing sponsors of the podcast. And when we do come back, we're going to dive into game 1 of the preseason that we just played. If you're listening to the podcast last night, which was Tuesday, if you're listening to this on Thursday, it was 2 nights ago. So we're going to jump into that, and then we're going to do our Forgotten Kane segment as well. But we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. Hey, what's going on, everyone? We'll get back to the references of the episode after we talk about our amazing sponsors of the podcast. First sponsor we're going to talk about is our original OG number 1 sponsor, and that is Primo X Hockey. If you're looking for any hockey equipment, if you're talking indoor or outdoor, pucks, sticks, tape, apparel, anything like that, Primo X Hockey is the place to go. If you go to primoxhockey.com, they have an amazing sort of options for stick tapes, stick guards, pucks for indoor and outdoor, laces, all that type of good stuff. Definitely need to check them out. And the good thing, too, is they do ship across the United States for free. Or if you're in the Raleigh area, you can actually pick up at their warehouse, which I've been there before. It's a really great facility. It's really kind of cool how they have that place set up. So I would definitely say if you're in the area, go check them out, because why not support local, especially in the Raleigh area, and with the fact that they're also amazing Caniacs as well. So if you go to primoxhockey.com and if you use the code SurgeCast at checkout, you get 20% off your order, and it helps and it lets them know that we sent you there, and it helps us at the podcast as well. So like I said, definitely a great group of guys. Definitely need to go check them out at primoxhockey.com. Use SurgeCast for 20% off your order, and make sure to go check them out on their socials at primoxhockey. That's on Twitter and on Instagram.
Next up, we have our amazing sponsor in Level Up Snacks, formerly Shocked Hydrate. Amazing, awesome group of people and company over there. If you're looking for some quality snacks and drinks, definitely go check them out. You can use code SurgeCast for 10% off of your order. Amazing sponsor of the podcast. We're super lucky to be working with them. So definitely go check them out. You can go check out their socials on Twitter at Level Up Snacks. Like I said, 10% off, code SurgeCast. Go check them out. Next up, we have our wonderful sponsors at In the Clutch Apparel. If you are looking for some awesome vintage sports apparel, I know they have some Whalers merch on there. If our fellow Hurricanes fans, you will definitely enjoy products coming from them. Not just vintage sports and hockey, though. They have baseball, football, anything your heart desires. Definitely go check them out. And we also have merch on there as well. If you're looking for a hoodie for the upcoming fall winter season, or just a t-shirt to come and rep the amazing SurgeCast, go check them out. You can use code SURGE at checkout for 10% off there as well.
And lastly, the sponsor is not only of the podcast, but it's more so of Belly Up as a whole, and that is Canadips. If you're looking for an everyday way to try to wind down from a tough day, or just try and get through the days in general, I would definitely say check out Canadips. They're a great CBD company out of California. The good thing is it's hemp only, no THC, so you can just take them whenever you can. They're coming in little pouches, about 10 milligrams, 150 milligrams per can, so you get about 15 pouches of those. They're really great to have. I know for me, it definitely helps with my anxiety. It helps with the joint pains, and like all the playing sports and stuff like that. I've used them a lot. I know a lot of people around Belly Up Sports have used them, and I definitely would recommend these things to anyone if you're looking for a way to help you just get through your day and try to wind down and try to get some relaxation and zen into your life. A lot of great flavors. We got the Palmy, which is black tea. They got the new ice cream sundae, which is really good. They got mango. They got watermelon and pina colada and a bunch of other different ones. They even got the normal classics like wintergreen and stuff like that. So definitely go check them out. If you go to CanadipsCBD.com and then /BellyUp20, then that's the link that you can go to and go on the website and order from there as well. Or if not, just go to CanadipsCBD.com. Then at checkout, use BellyUp20 and you'll get 20% off your order. And it actually helps out the global brand of Belly Up Sports. If you go use that discount code of Belly Up 20, I couldn't recommend these guys enough. They're great. They're amazing. So definitely check out Canadips at canadipscbd.com or just normalcanadips.com if you're looking for more of something else past just the normal hemp CBD type stuff. But definitely have to go check them out so that we can help us, the podcast, and also Belly Up as a whole. So without further ado, let's send it back to the rest of the episode. And we are back. So we did have a preseason game, which we said on the top of the show, which finally we got some hockey. I know it's preseason, but I don't care. We got hockey back. It was fun. We got Mike. We got Trip. I loved the fact that they used the Jumbotron feed as the game feed because you got the cheaters never win, which is always phenomenal. So I thought that was just so great. But I mean, Wes and Bailey, it might be a dumb question, but I got to ask anyway. Did either one of you catch this game?
Absolutely, I did.
I actually went to it. So
hey, that's right. I remember because I saw your photo from the usual Jumbotron shot where you guys always get Walt in his suits when he's doing the.
I was hoping. So I don't know if we've ever even discussed this on home ice before or not, but there was a game early in the year last year where Rangers were in town. It's obviously a tough building to be in. We were up maybe 5-0, 4-0, something like that. It was a good time to be there. Yeah. And I might have had a couple of adult beverages. And he came out, and he's a well-dressed man, right? Like, what are you going to say? So I just started shouting his name as loud as I possibly can. And I'm sure he's never heard me, but there were not a lot of people in there last night. And I thought to myself, if he was there and if he did it, tonight might be the night where he'll finally be like, who is this maniac shouting my name from across the building?
Oh, I know.
That's fantastic.
But the thing, like we had Walt on last week as well. And like he showed us like the candid shot of where his seat is on press row right at the ice. And I'm like, oh, this is just phenomenal. Like we literally got bird's eye view from press row with Walt last week. It was just.
And I hate it because he had showed us before we started recording too, and you could actually see the logo. And I hate during the actual feed, like it just kind of differences in brightness in the thing. Like you couldn't actually see like the logo in clear view of like all the paint and whatever, but it was so cool.
It's so great. I get to be there in 2 weeks, and I'm so excited. Me and Kat and Cat Hunter and a few other people are trying to figure out a tailgate for the home opener, so we're super stoked for that. But no, just the whole thing was just so great, and so I was actually able to watch it, on the computer, of course, because I'm unfortunately a little too far away to do that. I mean, not as far as Bailey, but within proximity of North Carolina to some extent. But I know me and Bailey we did a Twitter space before the game. We did our predictions. I predicted 5-2. I think Bailey, you said
5-3. I was like, you got to give the Tampa Bay Lightning a little bit of credit. I mean, they made it to the Stanley Cup final last year,
and they had not a lot of their starters were in.
Yeah, not a lot of the starters, but it's still overall like a really talented franchise. Yeah. So I was like, you have to give them more credit. I'm gonna go 5-3, and I was kind of biting. I don't know. It kind of came to bite me in the butt.
That because we obviously had more of our regular, I just air quoted, NHL roster.
Yeah.
So but I thought that is like once we went up 4-0, I was like, all right, well now you're going to see the fourth line get first line minutes. You reshuffle it, and that really didn't happen. Like they kept rolling all four lines. Like, all right, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
I mean, I think too because of the fact that Rod's trying to get stats and he kind of involved, and Coughlin and Pedersen and all those guys. So I can kind of see why he kept trying to just keep everyone together and figure it out. So I mean, it kind of makes sense. But the fact they were up like 4-0, like 2 goals in the span of like a minute 35 is just. I have to say, like I know it's preseason, but the power play unit was on it last night. Like
I even made a tweet beforehand after the first power play unit, which was it. Like they ran a pretty good unit that first power play that they had, but I was like, So the Canes still can't score on the power play. Good to know. I know where my expectations lie for the upcoming season. And then they ended up going 3-5 for the night on the power play. And I was like, well, bye. Take that back.
Yeah. Hey, Bailey, jinx something else for the Hurricanes and they actually be really good in and just be like, let's see how that works out. But
Canes aren't going to make it to the Stanley Cup final.
Did they talk about it on the feed where, because like from my perspective, I took a friend who's never been to a hockey game in his life. And one of the things I joked with him after the first, I was like, it's very Hurricanes hockey that we're out shooting them 15-5 and we don't have a goal.
Yeah.
I felt like
that? I don't think they did mention that on the feed, but I thought that as soon as I saw the stats after the game was over, I was like, this is very Hurricanes-esque.
Oh, they were kind of roundabout way of saying it. Yep. Sounds about right. 15-4. Yeah.
I thought in the like second and third, there was more of an attempt of, hey, maybe less hunting for the most grade A of grade A chances forever. And maybe occasionally like that one Jarvis goal.
Man,
like,
that was
we could get a little bit more of that going in a couple different games this year. Like that to me is the stuff I wanted to see. Like,
for sure.
Freddie looked good. Like he looked rust free.
Yeah.
Freddie, no problem whatsoever. So the Svechnikov goal on the power play, just an absolute fantastic one-timer. Like me and Kane Stats on Twitter, we're all making a joke because we all know he can hit a slapper, but when he hit it, I tweeted out, because I don't know if you're using Happy Gilmore, but it's like Happy learned how to putt. I basically did the same thing. Svechnikov's learning how to do some slappers.
Well, even Trip Tracy was kind of talking about it on the feed a little bit too, and how like in the like preseason prep, whatever, like he's been working more on those one-timers and those slappers, and because he's good at them, but he never really utilized them last year. And so I feel like it, like being able to see that as the first ever goal for the season, quote unquote.
The first preseason goal is an absolute bomb by Svechnikov. Like the fact that me, Kane Stats, and even Walt Ruff tweeted at Kane Stats and said, you're the first person I thought of when I saw that goal. And I'm like, that's absolutely fantastic. Even Walt's like, we know you've talked about it, but it's just, because the EA logic is an absolute joke when it comes to Svechnikov or just one-timers in general, because they can never figure out how to do a one-timer correctly in the game without whiffing or just hitting it right at the goalie. But no, that goal by Svech was just absolutely fantastic. But it's just the joking around of like, someone's figured out how to do a slapper. It's just.
I wonder if that's not the next step in the power play too, because in the like COVID year, right, or COVID year part 2, that was basically your power play, right? Is that Dougie would be at the top and he'd look, and eventually they'd throw it to Svech and they'd be like, "You've got a tremendous shot, figure it out." And then you kind of started getting, he would have it and then he would send those cross ice passes to Aho, got a lot of them. And then
Turbo got good at him this last year too.
So you'd hit him, and then they started boxing you out, and they'd let Tony DeAngelo get as much space as he wanted because he's got a fine wrister, but he's not like, you don't think of his shot when you think of TDA, and that's when things started to dry up. So I wonder if the next step isn't, all right, well, we're just going to also occasionally just let Svech come from the other side of the ice and like rain hell upon or heck, sorry.
You're good. No, you're good. We're keeping that in. You're fine. Or like you say, or even Brent Burns, because Brent Burns has got a massive bomb too. So him hitting some bombs. Now, if you want to talk about guys hitting some bombs from the blue line, so I mentioned earlier the cog in the machine, Dylan Coughlin, or Cogs as we're going to call him, because it seems like a lot of people on Twitter are all for the Cogs. So it's his nickname now. Dylan Coughlin is now called Cogs. And oh my absolute goodness, that bomb that he had from the blue line, that somehow Paul Stastny, with the hand-eye coordination of a Greek god, somehow just taps it in with no issues. A fantastic tip to get the other power play goal to make it 2-0. I mean, you get that from Paul Stastny. He's been in the league for a long time. Avalanche, Winnipeg. You know, like he's been around the block a few times with some of these teams. You're gonna get what you get out of him, and obviously that's welcome to Carolina. You know, Mr. Stastny, nice tip in goal, but that slapper from Dylan Coughlin, oh my
It's
absolute
beautiful.
goodness. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so great.
It already feels like with him too, and I know it's one game and you don't want to overreact to the
right, yeah, of
first
course.
preseason game, but
Yeah.
I am already sold on the what's his name, Jalen Chatfield, third.
Yep.
Like I
Yeah,
like
that-
him there. I think he'll be a good player in the league. Maybe he's your
Yeah.
seventh defenseman. Maybe you move him
Yeah.
for a fifth or something.
Yeah.
I'm very sold on those two already.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah, those two would be great. I could definitely see maybe Sheffield being a seventh, and then like maybe like a Bear Coughlin type thing, or whatever they did with Dahan too.
I mean, the thing that I didn't expect is Chatfield's got some speed on him.
He does, yeah. He's always had speed in Chicago. It's just
Mhm.
unfortunately it's hard to watch Chicago games up paying for AHL TV. We've mentioned this a million times. The feed's not so great, so it is what it is.
But
If he
being
didn't
able
have
to
Stone for hands, he'd be a $5 million player. Like he's
Yeah.
fast, very smart. He's a little bit of a pain in the butt, right? And a very
Yeah.
Carolina Hurricanes way, where just a little bit in your ear after every whistle. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I like him too. Yeah, it's just the stick work and the hand work still needs to get a little bit better. I would love to see him on the Canes, but I still wouldn't be surprised if he's in Chicago again, just because of the fact that there's maybe still some parts of his game that still isn't there yet. But I can still see him as a seventh.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
sorry to keep interrupting, but
no,
you're good.
Fine.
Part of his deal, which I hadn't considered a seventh, but his minimum this year is $300,000. So
yeah,
they really do not want to pay him $300,000 to play in Chicago. So I think it's going to be very hard for someone would have to take it from him, like legitimately take it from him. I think if he doesn't make, I hadn't really considered as a seventh. I mean, I think he'd be fine at it. He's old enough too, where like you would want him to develop, but you're not stifling his career if you put him in the press box, right? So I think that makes sense.
Yeah, so many defensemen. That's the problem too, because like I said, because you still got Calvin DeHaan is on the PTO. You still have to figure out Ethan Barron his $2 million contract he just signed, and you just got Coughlin in the deal for Patches, which he's trying to make his presence known. It's like, no, remember, I'm the other guy in that trade. Let's not forget where I'm at and stuff like that. Because friend of the a friend of mine, Courtney Bowman or Courtney Dagger on Twitter, she even said like when Chicago was Vegas's affiliate and she has to watch them all the time, Coughlin was doing the same thing for Chicago, just absolutely just bomb shots from the blue line, and it's just an absolute lethal goal scorer. Just like that, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him on the PP2 possibly, if anything, and just have Burns go 1, Coughlin go 2. I wouldn't be surprised if that actually did happen. But yeah, definitely big shout out to Courtney for saying something about that, because I tweeted about it last night. It's like his slapper is absolutely insane. So I could definitely see Coughlin making a strong case for defensive pair 3 and possibly a power play 2 as the quarterback if they want to use him in that role.
Would not be mad at all.
I'd love that. I like Slavin on the power play too, but I'd really like him resting more.
Yeah. That's my thing. Is Slavin is a very good defensive defenseman,
He's
and
PK.
So put him, keep him running his penalty kill unit.
Yeah,
I'm all for that. I mean, the thing is, for me, he has moments where he has some great goals, but that's not what he's known for. He's known for playing his defensive game and being our kind of shut down in front of the net. You don't see him doing a lot of what Coughlin does or what Burns is kind of known to do, or things like that. And so having it, like being able to rest him on the power play and saving him for penalty kill situations, because we're the Hurricanes, we're going to need it. I mean, but let him rest for that and leave the power play to the guys who have bombs of a shot and know how to play that quarterback position in the way that we absolutely need and saw in last night's game.
For sure. I wouldn't say Ethan Bear possibly. I mean, Ethan Bear's got a ripper too.
He's had some great goals from the blue line last season. I mean, I bring it up all the time, but the goal against Colorado, the first time we played him, it was fantastic. But
New Year's Day game against Columbus.
Yep. So, but I think I'd need to see him, and I have a feeling we're going to see him in the game tomorrow, because Rod's already gotten or given a statement to Walt saying we're going to see a completely different roster. The guys who didn't get to play last night are going to get to play tomorrow night. So we should be able to see him, see what he kind of has to bring to the table after that performance that Coughlin gave off.
Funny you mentioned that. Walt Ruff just tweeted out tomorrow's roster.
Oh,
let's hear it.
Okay.
Right. Here's the roster for the Florida game. Well, if everyone's listening, it's tonight. We'll record this on Wednesday, so we're talking about tomorrow. Calvin DeHaan, Jalen Chatfield, Dylan Coughlin, Jack Drury, Ryan Dzingel, Derek Stepan, Stefan Noesen, Ethan Bear, Mackenzie Eckenheim.
McCairn.
Thank you.
McCatron or something like that.
Yeah. Antti Ranta, Zach Sawchenko, who's going to be in Chicago. Noel Gunler. I was really hyped up on this kid in the prospect tournament. Noel Gunler is going to be really good. Maxime LaJoie, Grigory Dronov, Justin Robidas, Jordan Martinuk, Joseph Labatt, Andre Kasha, Jameson Reitz, and Velasi Ponomarev is going to be tomorrow night's roster. And
so there we go. Yeah, we're going to see Bear and sort of his element, depending on, who he's lined up with.
Yeah, exactly.
But it'll be kind of cool to see them both kind of playing in the same game on the same night, because it's going to be really good comparison to be able to see kind of what they're capable of. So I'm excited for that.
Who do you guys think they're going to pair with Bear? Do you think they'll go Noel, the
I could see
Gunler, or do you think DeHaan?
I could see DeHaan.
Let's see. Well, Gunler's a right wing, so I would say you might see Sheffield.
I'm sorry, Maxime Lejeune.
Yeah. I would say it's LaJoie. I think it's LaJoie.
I say LaJoie, so I guess one of us is right.
French Canadian names are like a mystic art to me, so we can go LaJoie. Was that what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
LaJoie. I would say you probably see more of a Chatfield, Coughlin, maybe DeHaan Bear, and then you're probably going to see LaJoie and Dronov together.
He's good too. That's a guy who I think could very easily be your seventh defenseman, but we just have so many guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I would definitely see you might see a Chatfield Coughlin again, or unless they want to split it up. But I mean, honestly, that's a phenomenal. I love this roster. Is it already 7:00? Because I'm so ready to go.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just and that's it. I like that. That's the kind of lineup you're looking at, because my boyfriend Grant and I were having this conversation last night and saying playoffs is kind of to let your bigger guys rest before they kind of get into the regular season, whatever. And a lot of times teams will use preseason to kind of see if there's any cracks in the roster, who's going to break that crack. Get them a little bit of playing time on an NHL or in an NHL type situation before they're sent down respectively to wherever they're going. So this will be kind of cool to see at least somebody, or at least 2 guys or 3 guys who we could see pretty regularly on defense, kind of running that and kind of seeing how that'll work out.
Yeah, it's definitely what perfect timing for Walt to put that out. Walt,
I know. Thank you, Walt.
Thanks, Walt. Looking out, we were just talking like who are we gonna see tomorrow night, and there's the roster. So absolutely fantastic. So,
but kind of getting back into preseason, our preseason game from or our first preseason game, Wes, who kind of stood out to you? I know we've talked about a lot of players, but who kind of stood out last night?
So I thought Peterson looked very active. There were a lot of mistakes, but a lot of way more good things, I'd say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind, because realistically, I've seen him penciled in as the fourth center. I kind of like Drury, like whatever it is. I want my young center making a ton of mistakes early, and let's get them please make them all in front of Stahl and Brind'Amour now. Let's just get them ironed out and go. I thought he looked really good.
Yeah.
I the easy answer is Coughlin looked really because he's always I've always heard him, or since the trade, he's always been described as a coulda, woulda, shoulda guy, right? Like he was just a little bit of this or that or the other thing short in Vegas from being like a real guy. He looked like a real guy last night, and I thought
it's Vegas. Like they don't know how to scout. I don't know what they're doing half the time now.
But I thought Kotkaniemi he looked much more aggressive. Like I felt like last year he was a little off the puck. He was playing off people. I don't think that's his game. I think you want him skating north-south. He had a play, and I don't remember who he passed it to. It might have been Aho, but he had a trailer, and then he drew two in at the blue line, kind of snaked through them, and then hit an open guy in the faceoff circle. Yeah, had a really good opportunity.
Funny, when you give a guy more minutes and put him in that 2C role, he actually plays to the level he's supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, he's not playing him in a 4C role with Jordan Martinook and Derek Stepan or all type of guys where it's kind of, or Steven Lorentz or kind of like.
I really liked him on a line with Svech and Necas.
I said this right from the rip of like the game started. I'm like, this Svech KK Necas line, and I had to like the eye emoji of like, oh. Like, give me that second line for most of the season. I would not be upset. Someone's like, well, why don't you flip Necas and Aho? I'm like, Necas will never play the first line.
No.
He might, maybe, but I would never see Necas on the first line with Aho and Teravainen because Rod loves Seth with those.
Yeah.
Your first line is almost kind of sad. I know everyone wants the Sat line back, but the line of Tavo, Slavin and Jarvis.
Slavin.
Or my brain has not been having it right now. Aho, Teravainen, and Jarvis. Sorry, I've had a long day at work, and my alarm was going off for an hour straight. My brain is nowhere. It's functioning, but there's gonna be some loops here and there.
I had Gunler playing defense not 3 minutes ago, so you're
yeah. Slam is my favorite player too. I'm like, wait, he plays defense. What am I talking about? It is what it is. But no, like that second line, I think from the rip was absolutely amazing. I thought they did a phenomenal job. Like I said, Coughlin, he caught my attention right away. 3 apples last night.
Mm-hmm.
He did phenomenal.
He, in my opinion, should have gotten first star.
Yeah.
I see why they gave it to Svech, but oh man, Cogs was 3 apples. I think Kotkaniemi should have gotten second.
If it wasn't Svech, if Martinook had that same exact game, Coughlin would have been first star.
Yeah. I was going to say, too, speaking of kind of players standing out as well, and speaking of a Jordan on the team, Jordan Stahl was kind of buzzing that first period.
Yeah.
Did anybody else notice that?
Oh, yeah. He was all over the place. Like, this is the Jordan I remember when we first got him back in the day. Like, he was on it.
Like, he wanted it, and I hate that he couldn't get one. But that first period, I think everybody was just kind of getting used to playing with each other before things kind of started settling down in the second and third. But he was he was all over the place, and you could see the fire coming out of him. He wanted it so bad.
Oh, he did. Yeah, no, Jordo did great. Like, just going back to the Aho and Jarvis goals, which were like a minute and 35, like, a piece from each other.
You take Schmidt out of the equation, they looked exactly the same.
Yeah. Nate Schmidt just got absolutely just. Hey, there's your ankles. They're in the section. They're in like the 300.
They're up in the press box. Go and find them.
Yeah, like just completely undressed him, stole his lunch.
First day back at work, you're just getting this like, oh man.
Yeah, and it's like you forgot to realize that like your your underwear is outside of your pants and your shirt's tucked into it type thing. It's like you don't want that situation. But the Aho goal was great, and like a minute 35 later, Seth Jarvis is like, all right, we all start scoring some well, and puts it perfectly.
He wanted it too.
In the 90. Like, for as someone who played soccer and hockey growing up and stuff like that, if you hit that perfect sweet spot of the 90 where it's just like the crossbar and the post meet at that point, you tuck it right in there.
Yeah.
Oh, you could not hit a more precise shot. It is absolutely phenomenal.
What I thought was funny too is he had 2 different situations in the beginning of the game where he had 2 open nets and missed on both of them, and then he's put in a situation to put it right past Legacy. Which let's just talk about Maxime Legacy. What a heck of a name!
Yeah. Oh, it's a great hockey name. It's fantastic.
But Seth Jarvis, beautiful goal. He wanted it real bad too after missing those first 2 open nets, and I was just like, he deserved that.
Svech is a midseason form. So is Aho. So is Jarvis. Jarvis, we're gonna be fine. The dude's good. I already said last week. Jarvis All-Star game.
Yep.
Put it down now. Stromwall. That was a phenomenal goal by him too. I'm like, all right, well, there you go. There's 5.
Yep.
Why not? Plus, Freddie Anderson, sir, have a night. Just first game back, no problems. Just
shots on goal for the final, end of the game ended up being 46-21 on the Canes. But end of the first period, he took only 4 shots. And I could immediately tell this dude, even if he only took 4 shots on goal, he's back.
Yeah.
Freddie Anderson is back and ready to freaking go. And I am here for it.
Yeah. Just overall, I mean, like I said, we talk about so many guys. Like Kakayama, Grant, that 2C. That's Fetch KK, Nietzsche's second line.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fantastic. I enjoy Stastny on that third line.
He already looks at home.
I would not be upset with a Stastny, Stahl, and Faust together. Oh, that's gonna be dangerous.
That line makes a lot of. There's a lot of veteran savvy on that line too.
Yeah, that is such a mature, sexy line with those 3 together. It's just absolutely fantastic. The fourth line,
hockey line in your area looking for singles type.
Exactly, but it's just the fourth line because we talk about the spaces. Do you see people kind of questioning the fourth line? Don't get too attached to that fourth line.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be their opening night.
No.
You expect a Drury, Martinuk, and Kasha on that fourth. I kept saying Kasha is going to be your third line guy, but you have Stastny on that third line and how he looked with those guys. I wouldn't be upset with it if you put Kasha on the fourth with Drury and Martinuk. That is a solid fourth line. Mm-hmm. I would not be upset with that fourth line if it was those guys.
That's an amount of finish too, because last year, and I think this is part of why I really like Stevie Lawrence. This is part of why he's gone. Morgan Geeky, part of kind of why he wasn't a tremendous skater either. But we have so much effort, and the amount of chances our fourth line generates is shocking compared to the rest of the league. And it's just gargoyle hands trying to bury these goals. And Kosh is a guy where if it's on his tape, he's gonna. And he's healthy. He's going to bury it. So I love Kasha. He's obviously overqualified to do that, but if we just have anybody with any amount of finish on the fourth line, we'd really be in business.
Yeah, well, of course, Rod has his lines.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things where it's it's so cool, just of how potentially that fourth line is going to be. So it would be so phenomenal. But I mean, overall, I think it was a great game. I mean, what were your thoughts overall? I know we talk about a lot of players and stuff like that who stood up. What were your thoughts overall when it came to that game? So you were actually there. What was the atmosphere like? What was just the game in general like for you?
It's funny because it's a weird crowd because it's mostly empty, right? There are not a lot of people going to Tuesday opening night preseason game type stuff, right? But the people who do go are all pretty hardcore, so that's very fun. I thought leaving, the big thing for me is I don't listen as much anymore, but one of the things Steve Dangle of the Steve Dangle podcast, the Zamboni driver guy.
I love Steve. I listen to his podcast. I watch all of his videos. Even if they do win, I still watch because this is the way he talks about it and just all the stuff.
I like when they win. He's just abused puppy, coming out of his shell when they win. It's awesome.
I know, right? It's so great. And the thing I also like too is just with how, his hat picks and his dang it's videos, absolutely phenomenal. I even have his physical copy of his book and his audio book, which if anyone hasn't yet, please go get it. It's phenomenal. Reading it is great. I love the audio version better because it's actually him narrating his own book. And it's so great. I highly recommend it. Get Steve Dangle's book and the audio book.
I will have to check it out. I didn't know he had a book.
Yeah, get both. Get the physical copy and the audio book version. Because they're both gonna be good regardless. But the audio version for me, absolutely the best because it's him doing it. So
but one of the things he had talked about when Freddie played for the Leafs, and this is during the pandemic Part 2 season, the 56 game season.
Right.
If people recall, Freddie was mostly hurt. Campbell came and kind of snatched the starting job from him, and that was that. And what I remember vividly, before even getting I'm totally blanking on his name. The goalie, Danish, red hair, Freddie Anderson.
Yeah.
But even before getting Freddie, one of the things he talked about is Freddie Anderson is shockingly cool under pressure, right?
Yeah.
And when he's hurt, he's not. He gets happy feet. He's jittery. So that was the number one. We could have lost that game 300-0. As long as Freddie was calm and collected in the net, I was going to feel fine. And he obviously looked tremendous, but
Oh, yeah,
mostly
for sure.
calm and collected. So that was my big takeaway.
Yeah.
We're going to need him, especially with Patches hurt. You're going to need him to be a top 3 Vezina guy again. So,
which he should have been last year.
Yeah,
even though there's only a week left in the season, we're not going to give him the nomination.
We're gonna get sassy Zach back.
No, I've been on my soapbox enough about Freddie Anderson because I will defend any Hurricane. TA I did not last year because I'm not a fan of him. So if everyone who knows our new moniker for TDA is now TA because he doesn't know how to play defense. He was the only guy I did not stood up for. Thank you, Brad Moore from Storm Cellar for that joke.
Yeah.
I did not defend him because I'm not a fan of his at all.
Any other Kane will defend to the ends of the earth.
Eric Holland, no. Dzingel, we'll see, but Eric Holland, no. Just no. But yeah, don't trash my Freddie Anderson. Stop it right now. But
he
overall,
so much better.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, overall, I thought it was a great game. It's preseason game 1. Don't get too hyped about it. I'm going to get excited regardless because it's hockey. It's the Hurricanes. Everyone saw my live tweet. I was live tweeting the game last night. It's you can I gotta get the fingers ready for the rest of the season because you gotta get into form early. But you're gonna be excited regardless. It's hockey. Yeah, you don't want to get your takes too high and stuff like that. It's just for me, it's just enjoy it, but also be like, okay, yeah, some guys need some work and stuff like that. But I mean, ultimately, we know that Rod and those guys are gonna pick the best roster possible, and just try to bring more positivity to there. Just bring more positivity because we all know how Twitter is.
Yeah.
So it's just that's how I look into it every season. Just try to look at the positives and just be like, you know what? It's hockey. Can't win every night. It is what it is.
It's like you said too. There's a ton of space between the Hurricanes are the worst, or preseason doesn't matter. They're the worst team ever, and I'm not going to pay my mortgage for the year and put it all on a Hurricanes Stanley Cup future. You could just be like, oh, we won 5-1, and in the grand scheme of the universe, does this matter? No, but feel pretty good now. So
it's hockey. I mean, how can you not be excited for it?
Yeah.
So, Bailey, what were your overall thoughts? Because I know we broke down the goals, we talked about certain players. What were your overall thoughts, just in general, about Game 1 of the preseason?
I honestly loved every single minute of hockey I was watching. The only kind of critique I have, and they fixed this going into the second and third periods, was I almost feel as though there was a lack of communication between some of the guys, especially when we were back in our zone, kind of puck transfers, stuff like that. But overall, I feel like there was a great energy from everyone. Stastny looked really at home on a line with Stahl and Fost. Everybody was, like I said, it took everybody a little bit to kind of get in their element, but to see the roster that we had for this first game, it was kind of cool to get at least a little bit of a glimpse as to what this upcoming season could look like, despite me trying not to get my hopes up for what we're going to see. My big highlight takeaway from the night, even though I went in kind of iffy about it, was definitely our power play.
Right.
Our power play was on it. If we can continue looking like that for the rest of the season going into the playoffs, you will never hear a complaint from me.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting, that's for sure. And Wes, I heard a lot of rumblings on Twitter about a certain beer.
Oh my gosh.
Eesh.
What a disaster.
Yeah, I love Storm Brew, and I know a lot of people are kind of they're iffy on it. It's a light beer. It's not like the fact that it's not at $7.50 instead of $5, and it's the $2.50 markup. It's not that good to get that much of a markup, and I'm like, yeah, it's a little much. it's a little much for a hike, but am I still gonna get it? Well, obviously, it's a Hurricanes beer.
I'm not gonna drink myself into oblivion on a $7 or $7.50 beer, but it's still something. I'll get it and drink it.
Yeah, like I said, it's a if you're oh, it's not that great. I'm it's a light beer. It literally is a light lager. Mike Manskeka says it on every Canes cast. it's a light beer. Like I don't know what you're kind of expecting here. It's like it's not going to be like a full draft. I mean,
yeah, it.
I think it's good. I'm not saying it's the greatest beer ever, like, but I still like. I think it's the greatest light beer that I've had. If I'll put it that way. Would I still pay $7.50 for a beer? Oh, yeah, because it's a Hurricanes beer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still gonna get it regardless. I'm just not gonna get multiple ones.
It was tough to see because at first I didn't even realize. First off, game day for me is I'm a fairly heavy drinker, so we probably finish about 8 of those from puck drop to the end. So
Yeah,
$2.50 is brutal.
Yeah,
but,
you kind of felt that a little bit. Yeah, like for me as the person who has to drive, the one is good enough just to see like, hey, I had a storm brew, and that's about it. But
I
yeah,
literally
like
walk home. So some of these games, especially you get a good big old win. Some of these games I'm leaving, I'm like, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Your brother reminded us like, yeah, Wes just got a house close to the arena, so you can walk to it. I'm like, that's actually pretty smart because he's never has to worry about parking. And like you said just now, you get about 7 or 8 deep. You're like, yeah, good thing I only have to walk home.
I didn't even realize there was a price increase until, like, normally, again, I frequent this stand a lot. We're in the same section we were last year. So I go up, I hit my 20%. It's like 12.40 something. Have a nice day. And for those who don't regularly buy things at the PNC Arena, you do your little Apple Pay or whatever. It shows the price. It says thank you, and it's got PNC Arena underneath it. So I always like check. It's always 12.40 something. I'm on my way. I check. It's like 19 something or other. And I was like, whoa, like what's going on? And I turn around and I see the sign. I think everything in the arena has gone up. I went with my wife. I don't remember what nachos were previously, but nachos were now $16. It sucks when that happens, but that's part of when the owner commits to pay half of refurbishing and building the restaurant and all of that. It's just kind of like
it's probably going to be a small temporary thing just until they kind of hit back even on stuff like that. I mean, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's terrible. But I mean, it does suck. But it's like, I think it's more of a temporary thing, just like you said, because of the refurbishing and stuff like that. I mean, you're not having the taxpayers pay for, all the fixing of the arena. So it would make sense. You might see a little bit of a hike in certain areas. But I mean, it is what it is. So, but see how I usually try to eat before I go to the arena, and then if I get something, it's like maybe like a pretzel or something small and a beer, and that's about it.
My dad and I have had
more, so we're with you now.
Yeah, no, my dad and I have had like a season tradition ever since I started going to games with him when I was a kid. During the second intermission, we go and get Dippin' Dots, but that's about with the price increases. That's about all you're gonna see on my credit card, besides a Storm Brew or two.
Yeah, like I'll sacrifice the $7.50 or like the $15 for 2 maybe if I want to go for a second one, but I mean that's really about it, honestly. But yeah, I saw a lot of people were not really happy about that, but I'm like, it sucks. I get that. You don't want to pay $7.50 for a beer. I mean, it's worse than other places. But I mean, the thing is, it's not because there's places where you go, it's like a plastic cup, like it's an 8-ounce plastic cup, and it's like $7. I'm like, okay, that's ridiculous. No way an 8-ounce cup should be about $7.
Nope.
But I know because like I know that the Storm Brews at PNC are bigger than the normal 12 ounces. So it's like they're not exactly a tall boy. So it's kind of like that middle-ish range of whatever you want to call that type of beer. I'll still pay $7.50 for that size, just because it's like, okay, it's not, 12, but
it used to be stealing. That's what, because you would for a light beer that's not on special, 4 to 5 at a bar is generally where you're at, right?
Yeah.
So like paying bar prices in an arena was robbery. Like you always felt like you were getting over on somebody, which I guess you kind of were, and they've now kind
of figured it out. So I mean,
that's like the world just shocking.
Yeah. So I know I'm getting some Storm Brews because it's a hurricane. We don't get that in South Carolina. So whenever I'm in North Carolina, you best believe I'm getting a Storm Brew at the game, and I'm going to my nearest Food Lion when we hit the border to take a 12-pack back with me. Back with me to South Carolina, because that's what I did. That's what I did last time I was up there. when I met the Primal X guys, our amazing sponsor, I stopped at a food line on my way back and just grabbed a 12-pack and brought it back with me to South Carolina so I can have some storm brews while watching some Canes games. So that's exactly what I'm doing on opening night in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
stopping and give me a couple packs and just taking them back with me because we don't get them down here, unfortunately. So after all that, if you're still listening to us, our show about an hour and 10-ish minutes, and I don't know about you, Bailey and Wes, but I think it's time to do our Forgotten Canes segment of the show. So Wes, you're the guest.
I have way too much anxiety to go first.
We'll let Bailey go to let you get used to the format of how we do it. We'll have Bailey go first for this one. So Bailey, you said you're going to throw us for a loop. I'm really curious. Who is your Forgotten Canes player for season 2, episode 14?
Yeah, so I'm going for an interesting format here. My Forgotten Cane for today is a current player on the roster, which is interesting. Okay. But many people may not know this. He was in 2 different NHL drafts. His first entrance into the draft was in 2010, where he was drafted by the Canes, and I think it was 2010. And he was considered a prospect or in the farm system for up until he was part of the farm system for the 2011-2012 season, which, by the way, I found some memorabilia in my bookshelf, and I'm going off of the yearbook, which if you guys are on YouTube, you will see that on the screen. And this is the only reason I know this. So I can thank that yearbook for the fact that this is my Forgotten Cane. But he was drafted 187th overall in the 7th round of the 2010 draft year by the Canes. And he ended up not being able to come to terms with the Canes. So ended up going back into the draft, and he was drafted 87th overall in the 3rd round by the Ducks in 2012.
Wes guessed it. And he did.
I think he got it right.
I didn't want to spoil it, but please keep going. I just want to know that.
Yeah, I think he kind of got it. So he played a little bit in Anaheim before moving on to Toronto.
It's done.
Where he played there, and then we got him, and he is what we consider our 1A goalie this past season. Got hurt with his MCL. That is Mr. Freddie Anderson, which was kind of a surprise for me because I never knew he was in the system, which is why I chose him as my Forgotten Cane.
Yeah,
I thought that was very interesting.
Just like how we had Eric Johnson drafted him.
Yeah, never played for the Canes, but
nope. Now he played in Colorado and all that good stuff. But yeah, Wes got it. He's like when you said he was with Carolina, didn't play, went back into the draft. And he said, before he even said Anaheim, he's like, I think I'm going to guess Freddie.
I didn't want to spoil it, but because Canes fans who've been around long enough that like 14, 15 thing were not great. And one of the big things on our list was like, man, if we had a starting goalie, we'd be really not to dance on Cam Ward's grave, but obviously that had kind of come to an end, and we were shouting to the heavens for a goalie. And because when Freddie Anderson made it in Anaheim, that was the story. And I was like, "You monster! Like, how dare you do this to us?"
Honestly, no, I the thing for me was like, and I'm gonna defend Cam Ward to the day I die.
Mm-hmm. He's right there, so I kind of have to.
For me,
I love Cam for sure.
For me, it's like that dark era Canes. I think that did Cam very dirty because everyone's like, oh, well, Cam Warren's over the hill. He's washed up, blah, 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 blah. No, the team was bad. And there's only so much you can do as a goalie. It was like, well, there's goalies who make bad teams really better too, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but if you're getting peppered like 40, 50 shots a game, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Those teams were very bad in front of Cam Warren. And I will say this. Any Canes fan who's going to be like old Cam Ward wasn't great for the Hurricanes. He was terrible. We needed a good goalie. No, you just needed a good team in front of Cam Ward.
Yep.
Like, so miss me with the Cam Ward was overwashed, overrated. His number shouldn't be retired because he did nothing in his back half of his career. Not a lot of guys could do very much in the back half of their career in Carolina.
Yeah.
During the dark ages. So I don't want to hear anyone say that Cam Ward's number doesn't deserve to be retired because it should be.
Retire it already.
Yeah, like he got us a cup. He won the Conn Smythe as a rookie. He set the rookie record for the most for wins in a playoff. Like he did a lot.
He's one of 3 goalies to do what he did in 06, which I learned from Ray on the Storm Cellar.
Yeah,
like the guy too. Like people like that 09 run, which obviously ended in complete disaster, just an all-time heartbreaker.
Yeah,
a lot of that was Cam Ward, right? People
exactly
for a very long time, and somebody might have done it since, but for a very long time, Luongo and Cam Ward were the only goalies with back-to-back 2,000 save seasons because he took a lot of shots because we were, as you said, bad. So I think people, it's kind of like the Eric thing too, right? There's this like weird like cult of like anti-Eric, anti-Cam. It's like, hey man, you're not 1-1C and a goalie away from getting it done. If it's Eric Stahl, Cam Ward, and then Zach Bailey, Wes on the ice together, there's problems. That's not really an NHL team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Regardless of what
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want people like. There's even people that say like Glenn Wesley, this number doesn't deserve to be retired, and I'm like, pump the brakes. Glenn Wesley was with the Whalers and the Hurricanes for a long time. He was a solid pillar on that defense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to hear why 2 doesn't deserve to be retired. And so I'm waiting for the day someone's like, well, Rod Brind'Amour is never should be retired. I'm like, if you say anything bad about Rod Brind'Amour, you're catching some hands. You're catching some hands.
You're treading on thin ice, my friend. No pun intended.
Yeah, it's just like I don't understand the people who are against Eric Stahl or against Cam Ward. The fact that those guys stayed there for as long as they did, the only reason why Cam Ward went to Chicago is because he was he just wanted they wanted one last run, and it was Chicago was still kind of what they were doing at the time. But it's like
those guys played through a lot of injuries too. Like Eric had a chronic knee issue and still being double shifted by Paul Maurice. Cam Ward had that guy. I don't remember which player did it, but was attacking the net. Totally coincidence. Cut him on the inside of his thigh. He came back before that was 100%. You know, did they end up being the exact players you would have projected them to be after the 06 Cup? Probably not. But were they incredibly important and transformative players while they were here? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think those years look like without Eric and without Cam? They're not great. They're not great.
They were already bound under Kirk Mueller and the other guy we never mentioned on this podcast because he's an absolute scumbag. But I mean, what are you going to do with those guys as coach and the fact that you had a GM that wasn't the GMs at the time weren't doing anything to make the team any better, and plus you had an owner at the time who was like, I really don't want to put money back.
Who's going to fantasy lower the salary cap? See, it all comes full circle.
Yeah, so the front office wasn't doing the team on the ice any favors, and plus those knockoff Red Wings jerseys did not make it any better either.
Nope.
Like I joke about it. I do have a Skinner one because it was like $90, and I'm like, I'll get a $90 Skinner jersey because why not? But I mean, it's just it. I really don't want to hear people say Cam Ward is bad because he had a great career. It's just he got sidelined by an injury that didn't help in a team that was just not good. So, but going back, well, off our tangent,
yeah,
which we always do. But Freddie Anderson, the fact that Wes got it like that, I'm like, because when you said Carolina, I'm like, it's like it's a goalie. I'm like, it's got to be Freddie.
When you said drafted twice, there might have been another Cam that happened to you, but that's the only one I knew. So I was like, I'll shoot it and see if I'm right.
Was that Adam Fox that double? No, he was. I think he was just
drafted
and then traded.
Yeah, because he basically he was like, I'm going to be a Ranger, and then Calgary was like, we'll call your bluff. Didn't work, and then he at least played a little bit nicer with us. He's like, well, maybe I'd be about this Carolina thing.
Yeah,
man, if we had Adam Fox, what a world that would be.
Oh gosh, yeah, for sure. But yeah, like I was like, the goalie, like it started to sound normal. Then when Wes said Freddie, I'm like, oh, it's gotta be Freddie. Then you said Anaheim. I'm like, yep, done deal. I don't hear anyone else. So
yeah,
but that was a nice pick. That was very nice.
Yeah, I feel it's not my normal. It's not our normal format, but I don't know. Like I was flipping through on my way up to Denver with Grant. And I saw him in the, what was it? I'm flipping through in the system, like, because they've got this like in the system.
Oh, it's fantastic. I love the old school
right here, and I
programs.
was like, oh my god, no freaking way. So
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but
yeah,
I see that's just me.
well, I mean, like you said, you became a fan in that season, so it's kind of like, how would you have really known that and stuff like that too? So I mean, it makes sense. But honestly, Freddie Anderson, fantastic pick as our quote unquote forgotten Kane for the episode. All right, Wes, who's your forgotten Kane?
Give me 1 second. You can go first.
Okay, let's see. I don't think you guys are going to get this one, but Wes maybe could, but we'll see. So this guy was drafted 11th overall in the 1990 NHL draft by the Calgary Flames.
Okay.
He is from Dugald, Manitoba. He's a goalie, so we're sticking with our goalie theme here. He played 2 seasons in Carolina, 97-98, 98-99, as a 25 and 26-year-old. He finished with a record after 72 games in Carolina with a 28-31-9 record. That's when ties still existed in the NHL, if that means anything. 158 goals allowed. Let's see, a save percentage of .916 and a goals against average of 2.34. He had 5 shutouts. His best season was his 97-98 season where he played 47 games. He finished 21-21-3 with a .922 save percentage and a .217 goals against average and 3 shutouts. And this guy is very well known for his pads because they're checkered pattern.
I'm pretty sure. Check the chat because it's there already. I'm pretty sure I did get this one.
Oh, you probably just before I even said checkered pattern. Some people might know this guy.
I love goalies. Not to that's my favorite position. So
I like this guy. We need to have him back on more often.
But Bailey, I'm gonna let you guess on this one.
I have no clue.
No clue at all.
No clue. I wish
a lot of Hurricanes fans right now are gonna be screaming out there. If you're listening to this in your
I'm gonna
car,
try to find a picture of these pads. Can I show that in the chat? Is that gonna? Would you?
No, but if you can send it to me, I'll put it on the YouTube video.
Okay. Yeah, but no,
who is your forgotten Kane, Zach?
It's Trevor Kidd.
Okay.
That's my forgotten Kane. So going back to the throwback Canes of the early days,
okay.
he was actually also one of my Canes cards of the day guys too.
Okay.
But Trevor Kidd. A lot of people are like, "It's Trevor Kidd. He's a checker pattern pads. It's Trevor Kidd."
No, I do. I recognize the name. I don't.
Yeah.
Tremendous pads. So.
Oh, fantastic pads. Plus the flow back then too. Fantastic.
So that was a good one. These were both good. Okay.
Right.
One's kind of lame in comparison.
Hey, I did Martin Furk last week with your brother, and he only played 2 games with the Canes. So that
or the week before last. Yeah.
Oh no, because it was the same week. Oh, it was a week. It was a week before last. Yeah, because we had. Yeah, because it was him and Jared Ellis from Locked On Canes.
Yeah.
All my weeks blend together. I forget who we had who won it.
There's a shocking number of cool people doing Canes podcast. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell me, because I was actually on another Hurricanes podcast 2017 before I went on the road in 2018 as a driver.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was us and maybe one other, and that was it. So the fact of just this, where we've seen the growth from 2017 to now, massive difference of where we're looking at now in terms of Canes podcasts. There's a lot more.
When you're good and good at social media, the Scott, especially too, for a while, I like TDA as a player, but he is obviously an extremely polarizing person. And when they survived the TDA bullet, I was like, oh, okay, like we've got some real goodwill going out here on the streets these days. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah, right.
If he
Yeah.
had signed TDA in 2016, like it'd have been over. It'd have been
Mhm.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Yeah, yeah. TA's already like everyone's already found his burner already. It was that quick. He's back to his old shenanigans in Philly. So
Did you see there's potentially another Flyers burner that he made now?
oh, I'm not surprised. That was quick. Carolina just told him to just not do it. Now he's back with an older team in Philly.
when the New York Rangers fan burner was actively like, these Rangers fans are the worst people in the world. I was like, bro, your cover is blown. Like, you have to calm down.
Yeah, and he's already doing it in Philly. I'm like, everyone's like, oh, look, we found TA's burner already. Like, that was quick. So, but
I have my Canes player. So I wanted to go with somebody. I didn't really know who I wanted to pick. I one of the things that is like a point of pain for me personally, something that drives me crazy about the Hurricanes fandom. But when you are bad for as long as the Canes were bad, all you have is prospects. And you're like, this kid's going to come up and he's going to be the next one, right?
Right.
And so I was just kind of thinking about that recently, and then you let me know about this segment. So I picked, and I don't think he was ever the chosen one, but he was a very hyped player when he had one very good season. I picked Jamie McBain, defenseman. Jamie McBain, the year the Canes hosted the All-Star game, it was Eric Stahl and Cam Ward were both in it, and then I believe he played in like the Rising Stars or like the skill competition or something like that. He had a very good year. I pulled up, and this was as a defenseman. So that year he had 7 goals, 23 assists, 30 points, second year in the league, really his first full season. All of that immediately stopped. He had another fine season the year after, and then post-lockout, it all just kind of fell apart for him. Jamie McBain drove me crazy for a very long time because people thought first off, the decline kind of came out of nowhere, and he was like a solid player, like a top 4-ish guy on a small market team.
Yeah, he was.
And then it's hard with athletes because you never, like, maybe their mom died or they lost a step or he got paid. He got a contract, and maybe you never know what happens, but that switch was flipped, and that was the end of Jamie McBain. So.
Which is wild too. Yeah, I was at that All-Star game, and I remember that too. I was like, "Huh, look at that, Jamie McBain," and then heard nothing from him since.
Yeah,
that's brutal.
I think I'm gonna pull it up. Hold on.
I think he went to Buffalo at one point. I think.
Yeah, because he had like a little bit of a rebound there. Heard of a hurricane that's happened to before, and then it was a complete disaster the year after.
Where do I start? How much longer do we have on this podcast to do that? But honestly, Wes, fantastic pick. We got Jamie McBain, we got Trevor Kidd, and we got Freddie Anderson.
So funny story, when I hosted the Ladies Night podcast, Sam actually also chose Jamie McBain as her forgotten Cane, which
there we go.
Really cool. I don't think she gave as many kind of stats, cool moments, whatever, just because she is originally a Flyers fan who's kind of joined the Canes fandom due to the Wolves, stuff like that. But honestly, I'm pretty sure he was on the roster about the time I started getting into the Canes. I remember that name vividly in my head because I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before. When I was starting to get into the team, I was so mad that everybody around me was talking about players and numbers and everything like that. And I was like, I want to know the team. So I literally made flashcards with a number on the front and a name on the back. And I'd bring them to games with me with our good friend, Dave Farrell, and his son. And sometimes Dave's brother, Casey, would join, whatever. And I'd bring them and I'd be like, okay, can you quiz me on these numbers and names so I can actually know who I'm looking at on the ice? And I'd update it for the next year or so. And then I stopped doing it because it got kind of easier for me to kind of get into it. And I'm like, okay, a lot of these guys aren't changing. It's just some leave, some go, whatever.
There's a lot of the Dark Ages Kings are like, all right, these guys aren't going to last more than the season. Let's see how this goes.
Jamie McBain, great pick.
Fantastic pick.
Thank you, guys.
Of course. Well, you know what? I think this is a good place for us to end the show. But before we actually go and let everyone enjoy the rest of their day, because we are dropping this in the afternoon, so that way everyone has enough time to listen to the show, probably about an hour and a half or so, which is totally fine, and then go watch the game later on Hurricanes, the website, where they'll do that stream as well. They're streaming all the preseason games on there, doing the radio calls and stuff like that. So a perfect little like appetizer to tonight's game if you're listening to this on Thursday. So before we go, Wes, where can people find you on the socials, and where people can find your podcast?
So you can find the podcast everywhere, wherever there are podcasts, you can find it. You can find me on Twitter. This is Colin, very good at social media. Wesley, not tremendous at social media. So you can find me.
Trying to get used to that, right?
Yeah.
Like try to get into the routine of like, okay, maybe I need to start posting, a couple times.
It actually like annoys me because I don't understand where he like finds the time and the energy, and like Colin's like, on this day in Canes history, Eric Stahl ordered like a strawberry Jamba Juice, and he's got the Getty's image there, and it's blowing up left and right. And I'm like, bro, what is like? How do you know this stuff? Like, if it happened in a game, I remember it, but the rest of it, he's like, oh yes, the February 12th game where Stormy's left paw fell off in a game and a child cried. I'm like, bro, who's this for? Like, how do you know these things?
Yeah, right. You're just like, what?
You can find me at Canes, like Canes Hurricanes, Canes Report NC, the podcast, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, everywhere. I only have the one episode now. We're about to go do a cool thing together. Yoo-hoo! Once that's recorded, I'll have that out probably on Friday. And yeah, that's where you can find me. And quickly too, because I don't actually know, this is a genuine question. Let's say I am an uninformed Hurricanes fan. Is it the like CarolinaHurricanes.com that you can watch the games, or where do you actually watch the away games?
Yeah, so it's a home and away. So it's CarolinaHurricanes.com on the actual team's website. When it gets closer on game time, they're gonna have a thing on their main website. It's like watch stream, and just click on that.
If you can't find that, the Hurricanes Twitter and Walt Ruff will post it.
Yeah, so you'll
Walt's
go on
my
there.
man, $100,000. That's my guy.
Yeah, Walt's the dude. If you're looking for anything,
sharp dressed man.
Yes, he is.
Great guy for 2 episodes. Hopefully, we can get him on for a 3rd and a 4th and a 5th. So that's hopefully the plan. But yeah, just go on the Hurricanes website. You'll be able to find it there. If not, check Twitter. With like Bailey said, Walt Ruff or the Hurricanes. I'll post a link for it and be able to watch it there. Bailey, where can people find you on the socials?
You can find me on Twitter at Bailey Curtis, and that's Bailey with 2 Y's. I talk a lot of hockey. So if you guys are interested, whether it's Canes, whether it's Avalanche, whatever it might be, I love talking hockey. DM me, shoot me a mention on your timeline, whatever. I would love to chat with you. You can find me on a more personal basis on Instagram at Bailey Lynn Curtis. Not super active on there, but that's kind of a more insight and personal insight on my life, whatever. And I'll let Zach kind of give the rest of the information for the SurgeCast, but I'm the one that kind of runs all the YouTube shenanigans. If you're watching, hello. But you can find the SurgeCast on YouTube. Definitely hit that subscribe button down below. Hit like. Would love to, if you have anything to say about the episode or episodes past, definitely comment. I love interacting with you guys. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely have to do that. Also, hit the bell for notifications too, because that way you don't forget when our show drops on the YouTubes, which would help with the algorithm, because that'd be fantastic. So you can find me at OneTrueZach on Twitter. That's ONETrueZach. You can find the podcast at the SurgeCast, where we do have a link tree in our bio, where you could go find our podcast on all podcast platforms. You can also check out our YouTube channel from there as well. And also check out our amazing sponsors, Primex Hockey, Level Up Snacks, and in the Clutch Apparel. Make sure to check all of them out too. And you also can check out Belly Up Sports as well if you want to look for more other podcasts or articles and all that good stuff. And also, little quick thing, Bailey, guess what? I got an email from Chartable the other day. We are the 6th most popular hockey podcast in the country of Denmark.
Going
a applause right there, ladies and gentlemen. Way to be.
Going a little Danish, and I got to get some Danish pastries just to celebrate the fact we're the number 6 podcast in
They knew
Denmark.
Freddie Anderson was
Thank
going
you.
to be your forgotten Kane. And they all tuned in. They're ready.
Yes, we love our Danes. Thank you to all of our listeners in Denmark. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great day to be a Dane, is all I have to say about that.
There we go.
There we go. But yeah, so thank you to everyone who's listened to the podcast so far. Like I said, just check out all the links to go find us on there as well. If you want to find me on Instagram with more of a D&D flavor and just videos and stuff like that, it is now Caniac Zach. It's not Zach R. Martin 22 anymore. It's Caniac Zach. My other podcast I'm on with our good friend Beth, she is not a fan of it because it's a Hurricanes related one, and we talk about women's hockey and the Blackhawks. So there's been some choice words. Sorry, Beth, but I mean, it is what it is. But definitely check me out on there. I've also been watching and staying up to date with a little bit more of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League on my Twitter. So you might see a little bit more of some junior hockey from Saskatchewan on there too. It's very random, but the league follows me, the commissioner follows me, so it's a good time just talking about some Saskatchewan junior hockey, because you never know, there might be some gems in there coming to the Hurricanes. So why not? So, but thank you to everyone listening to the podcast so far. Wes, thank you so much for joining us today. This was a lot of fun. I'm curious to see which, between you and your brother, who's going to have the most downloads.
I get that it sounds like a joke, like ha ha ha. I'm just gonna listen to it. That's not a joke. Like there's there's
a brotherly rivalry to see who can get the most downloaded.
I'm gonna be able to recite this podcast word for word.
Fantastic, I love it. But
also, Colin, I just literally subscribed and hit the bell at the end of this. So I'm just saying, like, I didn't know you guys were on YouTube. Now I do. And now, like I said, subscribed, hit the bell. I'm all in. So just saying.
Hey, Wes, we appreciate you, my
Check.
man. We are
check.
Yeah, it's like, sir, you've just been called out. But Wes, like I said, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to be joining you on your podcast here in a little bit. But until next week for episode 15 of season 2 of the SurgeCast, I'm Zach.
I'm Bailey.
Our guest, Wes, and we'll see you next time here at the SurgeCast.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Media production. Some said we'd go belly up, so we made it our name. And we're still here.